This story isn't really about me. It's about Elena. My wife died of cancer 2 years ago, but before she left, she gave me one last gift. I just didn't know it yet. You see, Elena made me promise to install a 25-foot flagpole in our front yard during her final months. At the time, I thought it was just nostalgia, a way to honor our military service together. But Elena was always 3 steps ahead of everyone else. 20 years in naval intelligence teaches you to plan for battles that haven't started yet. When our neighbor tried to force me to take down her flag, I thought I was just being stubborn. Turns out, I was carrying out Elena's final mission, one she designed to protect our entire community from a predator who targeted elderly homeowners. My name is William Martinez, and this is the story of how my wife saved our neighborhood from beyond the grave. Channel break. You're watching Betrayal HQ, where love transcends death and the best revenge is protecting what matters most. Subscribe if you believe some promises are worth keeping forever. Back to story. Elena left me a letter that started with, "If you're reading this, someone is coming after our property." She knew, she always knew, and she made sure I'd be ready to fight a war I didn't even know was coming. I'm William Martinez, 71 years old, retired Marine Corps veteran, standing in my driveway, holding a certified letter from my neighbor Antonio Valdez. The letter, written by Valdez's attorney, demands I remove or significantly reduce the size of the American flag flying from my 25-foot flagpole because it's excessively large and ostentatious. I've lived in this house for 40 years. My late wife Elena, Navy veteran, love of my life, dead from cancer 2 years ago, insisted on installing this flagpole and this specific flag during her final months. I never understood why she was so adamant about it, but I honored her wish. Now this real estate developer neighbor is demanding I take it down? I walk over to Valdez's house and knock. When he answers, I'm polite but firm. "Antonio, I'm not taking down my flag. Federal law protects my right to display it." Valdez smirks. "William, I'm not asking, I'm telling. That flag impacts my property value, and I'm filing a formal HOA complaint. You're going to take it down, or I'll make your life hell." As I walk back to my house, I notice a for sale sign on the property next door to Valdez, the house his elderly mother used to own. An idea begins forming. I contact the listing agent for the house next to Valdez, a modest 3-bedroom ranch priced at $340,000. The agent explains that Valdez's mother, Carmen, moved to assisted living 3 months ago, and the family is selling the estate. I ask if there have been any offers. "Not yet," the agent says, though Mr. Valdez mentioned he might be interested. Perfect. I make a cash offer of $340,000. Full price, quick. Closing. The agent is thrilled. Within 48 hours, my offer is accepted. I don't tell anyone, including my daughter Sophia or my son Carlos, what I'm planning. 2 weeks later, I close on the property. That afternoon, I hire a contractor to install a 35-foot flagpole in the front yard of my new house, 10 feet taller than my original, and order an even larger American flag. When the flag goes up, positioned perfectly to be visible from Valdez's backyard and kitchen window, I watch from my porch as Valdez storms out of his house. He sees me, sees the new flag, and his face turns purple. He screams across the yard, "You did this out of spite. You bought my mother's house just to annoy me." I wave calmly. "I bought a house. I'm flying my flag. Both are my rights." Valdez yells, "This isn't over?" He's right. But what I don't know yet is why he's really so angry about me buying that house. Antonio Valdez calls an emergency HOA meeting to address flag violations and neighborhood standards. I attend, along with about 30 neighbors. Valdez presents his case. Mr. Martinez is flying flags that are unreasonably large, lowering property values and violating the spirit of our community standards. He's brought photos, surveys, even property value analyses. I present my defense. Federal law prohibits HOAs from restricting American flag displays. The HOA president, a fair woman named Patricia Santos, confirms, Antonio, William is correct. We cannot legally restrict his flag display. Valdez argues, then we need to amend our bylaws. But the vote fails. Most neighbors either don't care or support my right to fly the flag. Several are veterans themselves. Valdez is furious. After the meeting, Patricia pulls me aside. William, I need to tell you something. Antonio has been pressuring the HOA for months about property issues in this neighborhood. He's been trying to change zoning regulations and bylaws. I don't think this is really about your flag. She's right. The next day I receive a visit from my daughter Sophia, and she's crying. Dad, Marco told me you're trying to embarrass his business partner. He says you're making trouble for Antonio on purpose. Marco is Sophia's husband of 8 years, and I'm just learning that Marco and Antonio Valdez are business partners. I confront Sophia about Marco's partnership with Antonio Valdez. She confirms, Marco and Antonio run a property development company together, Valdez Cruz Development. They buy properties, flip them, and develop commercial real estate. Dad, Marco says you buying Antonio's mother's house was a deliberate move to hurt their business. Is that true? I explain about the flag complaint and my petty revenge. But I'm starting to realize there's more to this. I ask Sophia, why would me buying one house hurt their business? She doesn't know. But that evening, Marco shows up at my door, aggressive and hostile. William, you need to sell that house back to us. We'll give you $360,000 or $20,000 profit for 2 weeks of ownership. I'm immediately suspicious. Why do you want it so badly? Marco won't give a straight answer. It's a business opportunity. We had plans for that property. When I refuse to sell, Marco's demeanor turns threatening. William, you're 71 years old and you just bought a second house you don't need. People might start questioning your judgment. Sophia is worried about your decision-making. It's a veiled threat about my competency. After Marco leaves, I decide to investigate. I request public records on Valdez Cruz Development and their recent projects. What I find is disturbing. They've been buying up properties in our neighborhood systematically over the past 18 months, and all the properties form a pattern on a map. They're assembling a large parcel. I discover that Valdez Cruz Development filed a rezoning application with the city 6 months ago, requesting that 12 acres in our residential neighborhood be rezoned for commercial use. The application is under review. When I map out the 12 acres, I realize it includes my original house, the house I just bought, and 8 other properties. Valdez has been quietly buying these properties from elderly owners, often at below-market prices. His mother's house was supposed to be part of the assemblage, but I bought it instead. My purchase created a gap in his land parcel, potentially blocking the entire development. This was never about the flag. Valdez wants my land, and he's been trying to pressure me out. I attend a city planning commission meeting where the rezoning is discussed. Valdez is there, presenting his case for the development. This area needs economic revitalization. Our project would bring jobs, tax revenue, and modern amenities. But several longtime residents, including Patricia from the HOA, oppose it. This is a residential neighborhood. We don't want commercial development. The commission tables the decision, requesting more community input. After the meeting, Valdez approaches me. William, you're standing in the way of progress. Sell me those 2 houses and I'll make you rich. 800,000 for both. I respond, not interested. Valdez's face hardens. Then you're going to regret making an enemy of me. That night, I visit Elena's grave and talk to her like I often do. Elena, I don't understand why you insisted on that flagpole, but I think you knew something. Then I remember. Elena left boxes of papers and documents that I haven't fully gone through. I spend an entire day going through boxes of Elena's belongings stored in the attic. Papers, files, old Navy records. In one box labeled Property Records, I find something that stops me cold. Detailed surveys of our property, annotated in Elena's handwriting. She'd marked specific boundaries, elevations, and coordinates. There are also notes about easements, water rights, and survey monuments. More shocking, there's a letter addressed to me sealed, labeled, William open if property issues arise. I open it with shaking hands. Elena's letter, dated 6 months before her death, reads, My dearest William, if you're reading this, someone is coming after our property. I discovered that Antonio Valdez has been planning a development that would destroy our neighborhood. The flagpole I installed isn't just memorial. Its location marks a critical survey monument that establishes property boundaries. The elevation and position matter. I filed documents with the county surveyor's office that may protect us. I didn't tell you because you would have worried, and I needed you focused on my care, not fights. Trust the flagpole placement. It's protecting more than memories. I love you. Fight for our home. Elena. I'm stunned. My wife knew about Valdez's plans 2 years ago, and she strategically placed the flagpole as some kind of legal protection. I immediately contact the county surveyor's office. The county surveyor, a meticulous man named Howard Blake, explains what Elena filed. Mr. Martinez, your wife identified a discrepancy in the property surveys for this area. She discovered that a survey monument, a marker establishing official property boundaries, was incorrectly placed decades ago. She filed for a corrected survey, which was approved and recorded. Her flagpole marks the corrected survey monument location. Howard shows me maps. The corrected survey affects multiple properties, including those Mr. Valdez has been acquiring. If the correct boundaries are used, several properties Valdez thinks he owns actually have different dimensions and setbacks than he believes. More importantly, there's a 30-foot drainage easement running through what Valdez thinks is buildable land. His development plan is based on incorrect surveys. This is brilliant. Elena found a legal technicality that undermines Valdez's entire development plan. But Howard warns, Mr. Martinez, Valdez could challenge your wife's survey correction. He could claim she filed it improperly, or that the monument location is still disputed. You'd need the original survey equipment and documentation to prove she was right. I ask where that equipment would be. Howard says, Your wife indicated she buried a survey marker at the flagpole base, a permanent monument with GPS coordinates and elevation data. If it's there and matches her documentation, it's irrefutable proof. I need to excavate around the flagpole base. But when I return home, I find Antonio Valdez and 2 men examining my flagpole with surveying equipment. Valdez sees me and doesn't even look guilty. Just checking something, William. He's trying to find or remove Elena's survey marker. I call the police and report trespassing. By the time officers arrive, Valdez and his crew have left. But I can see fresh disturbed soil around the flagpole base. They were digging. I hire a private security company to monitor both properties 24 hours a day. Then I hire my own surveyor to excavate properly and locate Elena's marker. It takes 2 days, but we find it. A bronze survey monument embedded in concrete with engraved coordinates, elevation, and Elena's certification number from her Navy engineering background. She knew exactly what she was doing. My surveyor confirms. Mr. Martinez, this monument is professionally placed and matches the county's records. It establishes the correct property line. Based on this, Mr. Valdez's development plan encroaches on properties he doesn't own and violates setback requirements. His project is dead in the water if this monument is upheld. I document everything and file a formal objection to Valdez's rezoning application, citing the corrected survey and easement issues. When Valdez learns about this, he threatens legal action. William, you're going to regret this. I'll bury you in lawsuits. But I'm prepared to fight. What I'm not prepared for is the call from Sophia. Dad, Marco is leaving me. He says our marriage is over because you're destroying his business, and I won't help stop you. My petty flag revenge is tearing apart my daughter's marriage. Sophia arrives at my house devastated. Marco has moved out, filed for separation, and is blaming me for destroying Valdez Cruz Development's biggest project ever. Sophia is caught between her father and her husband. Dad, Marco says if you just sell those houses and drop your objections, the project can proceed and he'll come back. I sit Sophia down and show her everything. Elena's letter, the survey documents, the evidence of Valdez's scheme to force out residents, the property value manipulation. Sweetheart, your mother discovered that Valdez was planning to destroy our neighborhood. She protected us legally. I'm just finishing what she started. And Marco, Sophia, Marco has been working against our family for months. He chose Valdez's money over you. Sophia is processing this when my son Carlos arrives unexpectedly. Carlos, 45, is a corporate attorney who lives 3 states away and hasn't visited in over a year. Dad, I need to talk to you about your recent property purchase and this conflict with your neighbor. Marco called me. He's concerned about your judgment. I'm hurt that my own son is questioning me at Marco's instigation. Carlos continues. Dad, you're 71. You bought a house on impulse. You're fighting with neighbors. You're making legal claims based on Mom's old documents. Marco thinks, and I'm starting to agree, that maybe you need help managing your affairs. My own son is suggesting I'm not competent. Before I can respond, Carlos drops a bomb. Dad, I've consulted with an elder law attorney. I think we should discuss a power of attorney arrangement. I'm shocked that Carlos is suggesting I need a power of attorney, essentially taking away my legal autonomy. Sophia is equally shocked. Carlos, Dad is fine. He's sharp as ever. This isn't about his competency. This is about Marco and Valdez manipulating the situation. Carlos argues. Sophia, Dad spent $340,000 on a house he doesn't need just to spite a neighbor. That's not rational. I defend myself. I bought an investment property that happens to block a corrupt developer's scheme. That's rational. But Carlos reveals something that makes my blood run cold. Dad, Marco showed me financial records. You've spent $400,000 in the past month. You're depleting your retirement assets over a grudge. As your son, I have a fiduciary concern. I realize Marco has been monitoring my finances, probably through Sophia's access to family information. This isn't about concern. It's about control. If Carlos gets power of attorney, he could force me to sell the properties to Valdez. I refuse. Carlos, I appreciate your concern, but I'm not giving anyone power of attorney. I'm competent, I'm making informed decisions, and I'm protecting our family legacy. Carlos looks disappointed. Then you leave me no choice. I'm going to petition the court for a competency evaluation. My son is threatening to have me declared incompetent. Before I can respond, there's a knock at the door. It's Antonio Valdez, and he's holding a lawsuit. Valdez has filed a civil lawsuit against me for tortious interference with business relations and defamation. He claims my objections to his rezoning application are based on false information and have damaged his business reputation. The lawsuit seeks $2 million in damages. It's clearly designed to intimidate and drain my resources through legal fees. I hire an attorney, a sharp woman named Victoria Hayes, who specializes in property law. Victoria reviews the case. William, this is a SLAP suit, strategic lawsuit against public participation. Valdez is trying to silence your legitimate objections. We file an anti-SLAP motion to dismiss. Meanwhile, Carlos proceeds with his competency evaluation petition. I'm forced to undergo psychological testing, cognitive assessments, and interviews with a court-appointed evaluator. It's humiliating. The evaluator, Dr. Nina Rodriguez, is professional and thorough. After 2 weeks of testing, she issues her report. William Martinez shows no signs of cognitive impairment, diminished capacity, or incompetency. His recent property purchase and legal actions, while unconventional, are within the bounds of rational decision-making for someone protecting property interests. Carlos's petition is denied, but the damage is done. My son publicly questioned my competency, and our relationship is fractured. Sophia, who supported me throughout, has filed for divorce from Marco. She's choosing her father over her husband. As the legal battles grind on, I receive unexpected support. Veterans from my old Marine unit reach out after hearing about the flag dispute. But just when everything seems manageable, my health takes an unexpected turn. During a routine checkup, my doctor finds an irregularity in my heart rhythm and orders immediate tests. The diagnosis: atrial fibrillation requiring medication and monitoring, possibly a pacemaker in the future. I'm otherwise healthy, but the stress of the legal battles and family conflict has taken a physical toll. My doctor warns, William, you need to reduce stress significantly or you're at serious risk for stroke or heart attack. But I can't reduce stress. I'm in the middle of multiple lawsuits, my family is fractured, and Valdez is still pressuring me. Sophia, guilt-ridden about the stress she thinks she caused, begs me to settle everything. Dad, please, just sell the houses, drop the fights, and focus on your health. She's right that it's not worth dying over. But it's also not just about property anymore. It's about Elena's final gift to me and honoring her memory. While I'm recovering at home, I receive a visitor. Carmen Valdez, Antonio's elderly mother, who I've never actually met. She's 87, sharp-minded, and angry. Mr. Martinez, my son told me you bought my house. I need to tell you something. I never wanted to sell it. Antonio pressured me into moving to assisted living and selling the house. He said he'd keep it in the family, but he lied. Carmen reveals something explosive. Antonio has been financially abusing her for years, taking money from her accounts, forcing property sales. I want to help you stop my son. He's become a monster, driven by greed. Carmen Valdez becomes my unexpected ally. She provides documentation of Antonio's financial abuse, unauthorized withdrawals from her accounts, forged signatures on property documents, and evidence that Antonio coerced her into selling the house at below market value. Mr. Martinez, I'm filing a complaint against my son for elder financial abuse. I want you to know that the sale of my house to you was legitimate. Carmen also reveals something crucial. Antonio's development plan isn't just about money. There's something on those properties he wants access to. I heard him on the phone months ago talking about water rights and mineral surveys. He's looking for something specific underground. This adds a new dimension. I hire a geologist to survey both my properties. The report comes back astonishing. There's an underground aquifer running beneath the property parcel Valdez has been assembling. In our increasingly drought-prone region, water rights are worth millions. Valdez isn't just building a shopping center. He's securing control, of a valuable water source. Elena must have discovered this too. Her survey work wasn't just about property boundaries. It was about protecting water rights. The drainage easement she documented ensures the aquifer remains accessible to multiple properties, not just Valdez's development. I file this discovery with the city, and it causes an immediate uproar. Environmental groups get involved, questioning whether Valdez's development would harm the aquifer. The City Planning Commission suspends consideration of his rezoning pending environmental review. Valdez is furious, and he retaliates viciously. Someone vandalizes both my properties. Flags torn down, spray paint on the houses, broken windows. Security cameras catch 3 masked individuals, but they're not identifiable. I file police reports, but there's no proof it was Valdez. Then someone files an anonymous complaint with the city claiming I'm operating an illegal boarding house because I own 2 adjacent properties. It's absurd, but it triggers an inspection. Next, someone reports me to the IRS claiming I'm evading taxes on rental income from my second house. Again, false, but it creates bureaucratic nightmares. These are classic harassment tactics designed to exhaust me financially and emotionally. My health worsens under the stress. My AFib becomes harder to control, and my doctor seriously considers hospitalizing me. Sophia moves in temporarily to help manage my care and the property situation. One evening, while Sophia is going through files to help me organize documentation for the various legal cases, she finds something in Elena's papers. A sealed letter addressed to Sophia personally, written by Elena before she died. Sophia opens it and reads, then starts crying. "Dad, you need to read this." The letter reveals why Elena fought so hard to protect our property, and it has to do with Sophia's future. Elena's letter to Sophia explains, "My darling girl, if you're reading this, your father is probably in a fight over our property. I discovered something important. The aquifer beneath our land is part of a larger water system that will become critical in the coming decades. I secured the legal protections to ensure this water remains a community resource, not a private commodity. But more than that, I wanted to preserve this land as your inheritance, not to sell, but to protect. This property will be worth far more in your lifetime than any quick sale price. Your father may not understand all this, but you will. Stand with him. Protect what we built. The flag isn't just a symbol, it's a marker of our commitment to protect what matters. I love you. Mom." Sophia is sobbing. "Dad, Mom was protecting this for me? For our family's future?" I nod. She was protecting it for everyone, the community, the environment, future generations. Your mother was always thinking ahead. This letter galvanizes Sophia. She commits fully to fighting Valdez alongside me. Together, we hire a water rights attorney and file claims establishing our property's access to the aquifer and our opposition to any development that would compromise it. Environmental groups rally around us. What started as a flag dispute has become a community environmental battle. Then the City Planning Commission delivers its decision. They're denying Valdez's rezoning application due to environmental concerns and survey irregularities. Valdez's development is officially dead. With his development project collapsed, Valdez becomes desperate. He owes investors millions, has acquired properties he can no longer develop, and faces potential bankruptcy. He makes one final offer to me. $1.2 million for both my properties, cash, immediate closing. "William, this is it. Last chance. Take the money and walk away. If you don't, I'll make you suffer." I refuse. Valdez's response is to file a frivolous lawsuit claiming my flagpole creates a navigational hazard for aircraft because it's too tall. It's absurd. We're nowhere near an airport, and the FAA has height limits far beyond my 35-foot pole. But it's another harassment lawsuit. At the same time, Marco makes a shocking move. He files a claim in the divorce proceedings seeking a portion of my properties as marital assets, because Sophia is my presumptive heir. It's legally dubious, but it's designed to complicate everything. The stress is overwhelming. My AFib worsens, and I end up hospitalized for 3 days with a cardiac episode. While I'm in the hospital, vulnerable and weak, Carlos visits. I hope he's coming to reconcile, but instead he presents papers. Dad, sign these. They give me temporary power of attorney just while you're hospitalized. Something in his tone makes me suspicious. I refuse to sign. Carlos looks disappointed. Dad, I'm trying to help you. Marco showed me something, evidence that Valdez is planning to come after you personally. I demand to see this evidence. Reluctantly, Carlos shows me text messages that appear to be from Valdez threatening violence. But something doesn't look right. I have my attorney Victoria examine the text messages Carlos showed me. She immediately spots inconsistencies. William, these texts are fabricated. The metadata shows they were created recently, not when they were supposedly sent. I confront Carlos. Did you fake these messages? Carlos denies it, but he's clearly uncomfortable. Dad, Marco gave them to me. He said Valdez sent them. I realize Marco is manipulating Carlos, possibly with Valdez's involvement. The plan was to scare me into giving Carlos control. Then Carlos would sell the properties to settle everything for my protection. I'm disappointed in my son, but I also understand he's been deceived. I show Carlos the evidence that the messages are fake. Son, Marco is using you. He's not your friend. He's Valdez's partner trying to get my property. I need you to decide. Are you on my side or theirs? Carlos, confronted with proof, finally breaks. Dad, I'm sorry. I thought I was protecting you, but I see now I was being used. Marco promised me that if I got you to sell, he'd cut me in on the deal. $100,000 just for getting you to sign papers. It's painful to hear my son admit he was willing to betray me for money, but at least he's being honest now. Carlos commits to helping me instead, and he brings something valuable. Inside knowledge of Valdez Cruz Development's financials. Dad, the company is on the verge of bankruptcy. If the development had gone through, it would have saved them. Now they're desperate, and desperate people do dangerous things. Carlos provides internal financial documents from Valdez Cruz Development. The company owes $8 million to investors who funded the failed development project. Without the rezoning, the land Valdez assembled is worth far less than he paid for it. Valdez personally guaranteed some of the debt, meaning he's facing personal bankruptcy. Marco is trying to dissolve the partnership and escape liability, leaving Valdez holding the bag. This explains Valdez's increasingly erratic behavior. He's financially ruined. But Carlos warns. Dad, bankrupt people sometimes do desperate things. Valdez has nothing left to lose. You need to be careful. I increase security on both properties and vary my routines. Then something unexpected happens. The environmental groups that rallied around the aquifer protection issue propose something bold. They want to establish a conservation easement on my properties that would permanently protect the land and water rights from development while allowing me to continue living there. In exchange, they're offering substantial tax benefits and even a cash payment for agreeing to the easement. It's a win-win. I protect Elena's legacy, secure my financial future, and ensure Valdez can never develop this land. I'm seriously considering it when I receive shocking news. Antonio Valdez has been arrested for attempting to burn down my original house. Police arrest. Antonio Valdez, after he's caught on my security cameras attempting to pour gasoline around my original house's foundation at 2 a.m. Alert security guards intercepted him before he could light the fire. Valdez is charged with attempted arson, trespassing, and making criminal threats. It's a complete breakdown. At his arraignment, Valdez's attorney argues mental health crisis due to financial stress, but the judge denies bail, citing danger to me. Valdez is held in county jail pending trial. With Valdez in jail, I feel safer. But I'm also sad. This man let greed destroy his life. Carmen, Valdez's mother, visits me. Mr. Martinez, I'm so sorry for what my son has become. I want you to know I'm testifying against him in the criminal case. The attempted arson makes regional news. Developer arrested for arson attempt after property dispute. The publicity brings unexpected attention to the underlying story: the flag dispute, the property battles, and the environmental issues. A journalist named Maya Rodriguez writes a comprehensive article, How One Veteran's Flag Became a Symbol of Resistance Against Corporate Greed. The article portrays me sympathetically in Valdez as a villain. Community support swells. Meanwhile, Marco, facing the collapse of Valdez Cruz development and criminal investigations into the company's practices, makes a desperate move. He approaches Sophia with a reconciliation offer. Marco begs Sophia to reconcile. I made mistakes. I chose business over family, and I'm sorry. If you take me back, I'll help your father. I'll testify against Valdez. I'll provide evidence of everything we did wrong. Sophia is conflicted. She still loves Marco despite everything. She asks for my advice. Dad, do I give him another chance? I tell her, Sweetheart, I can't make that decision for you. But ask yourself, is he sorry for what he did, or sorry he got caught? Is he coming back because he loves you, or because his world is falling apart and you're his safety net? Sophia thinks about it and makes her decision. She'll agree to marriage counseling with Marco, but she won't reconcile until he proves through actions, not words, that he's changed. And Dad, she adds, he has to make amends to you too. Marco agrees to cooperate fully. He provides testimony for the criminal case against Valdez and admits to federal investigators that Valdez Cruz Development engaged in fraudulent practices. Marco's cooperation leads to a broader FBI investigation into Valdez's business dealings. In exchange for his cooperation, Marco receives immunity from prosecution. As the legal dominoes fall, I finalize the conservation easement on my properties. The environmental group pays me $400,000 for the easement rights, and I receive significant tax benefits. The properties are now permanently protected from development, honoring Elena's vision. At the conservation easement signing ceremony, I give a speech about Elena's foresight and sacrifice. But just when everything seems resolved, I receive devastating medical news. During a follow-up appointment for my heart condition, my doctor notices an irregularity and orders additional tests. The diagnosis? Early-stage prostate cancer. It's treatable with good prognosis, but it requires surgery and recovery time. I'm 71, dealing with AFib and now cancer. The timing couldn't be worse. Valdez's arson trial is approaching, and I'm a key witness. Sophia and Carlos both insist I prioritize health. Dad, you've won. Valdez is in jail, the properties are protected, Mom's legacy is secured. They're right, but I feel a need for closure. I schedule surgery for after Valdez's trial. At the trial, I testify about the flag dispute, the property battles, Elena's survey work, and the attempted arson. The prosecution presents overwhelming evidence: security footage, Valdez's threatening communications, financial motive. Valdez's defense argues temporary insanity due to financial ruin, but the jury doesn't buy it. Verdict: guilty on all charges. Sentencing: 8 years in prison, restitution for damages, and permanent restraining order. As Valdez is led away, he looks at me with pure hatred. Justice is served, but I feel no triumph. only sadness that it came to this. 2 weeks later, I undergo successful surgery for prostate cancer. The prognosis is excellent, but recovery is slow and difficult. Sophia cares for me, and even Carlos visits regularly, trying to rebuild our relationship. During recovery, I receive a letter from Carmen Valdez thanking me for holding her son accountable. 6 months after surgery, I'm in remission. My AFib is controlled with medication, and I'm physically stronger than I've been in a year. The conservation easement on my properties is finalized, and the environmental groups have created the Elena Martinez Aquifer Protection Initiative in my late wife's honor. It's become a model for protecting water resources in our region. I've reconciled with Carlos. It took time and honest conversations about his betrayal, but we're rebuilding trust. Sophia has successfully divorced Marco, and she's healing. She's decided to move into the second house I bought, the one that started this whole conflict. "Dad," she says, "I want to live here, on the land Mom protected. I want to raise my kids here someday and tell them about their grandmother's vision." It brings tears to my eyes. The twin flagpoles still stand, both flying large American flags, and they've become minor local landmarks. Veterans groups have adopted them as symbols, and there's even been discussion of creating a small veterans memorial on the property. But there's one final piece of business. Marco has completed his federal cooperation and is trying to rebuild his life. He approaches me asking for forgiveness. "William, I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking anyway. I betrayed you. I manipulated your son. I chose money over family." I ask him, "What do you want, Marco?" He says, "Nothing. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry." I appreciate the apology, but I tell him honestly, "Marco, I forgive you because holding on to anger hurts me more than you. But forgiveness doesn't mean trust. You're not welcome in my family anymore." 1 year after the flag dispute began, I organize a memorial ceremony at my properties. We're dedicating the Elena Martinez Veterans Memorial Garden, a beautiful space featuring the twin flagpoles, memorial plaques honoring local veterans, and educational markers about the aquifer and environmental protection. Over 200 people attend: veterans, neighbors, environmental activists, local politicians, and media. I give a speech. 1 year ago, my neighbor complained that my American flag was too big. That complaint led to a battle that exposed greed, corruption, and conspiracy. But it also revealed something more important: the power of principle, the importance of protecting what matters, and the foresight of a woman who loved her community and country enough to protect both, even as she was dying. My wife, Elena Martinez, created this memorial before any of us knew it existed. She placed these flagpoles strategically, not just to honor our service, but to protect our future. The crowd erupts in applause. Among the attendees is Carmen Valdez, Antonio's mother, who donated funds to the memorial. After the ceremony, Maya Rodriguez tells me she's writing a book about the case. I agree to cooperate. As the crowd disperses, I stand alone between the two flagpoles and look up at the flag snapping in the wind. I feel Elena's presence. I kept my promise to her. Maya's book, The Flag That Fought Back: One Veteran's Battle Against Corruption, is published and becomes a regional bestseller. The publicity brings renewed attention to water rights, environmental protection, and veterans issues. I'm invited to speak at schools, veterans organizations, and community groups about standing up for principle. At age 72, I've become an accidental activist. The story resonates because it's relatable. An ordinary person pushed too far, who fought back legally and won. I meet people who face similar situations: corporate developers trying to force them out, family betrayals, health crises during conflicts. I offer what wisdom I've gained. Document everything. Know your rights. Don't let anger drive decisions. Fight legally, not emotionally. The memorial garden has become a community gathering place. Sophia, living in the second house now, maintains it beautifully. She started dating a kind man, a teacher and fellow Navy veteran, and they're taking things slowly. Carlos has fully reconciled with me and brings his kids to visit regularly. They love hearing stories about their grandmother Elena. Antonio Valdez is in year 2 of his 8-year sentence. I've heard he's taken responsibility for his actions and is participating in counseling. I hope he finds redemption. The properties are worth more now than ever, not because of development potential, but because they're protected, have historical significance, and carry Elena's legacy. Financially, I'm secure. Health-wise, I'm in remission and stable. Emotionally, I'm at peace. But there's one final surprise. The city announces they're naming the newly protected water resource area the Elena Martinez Aquifer Preserve. It will ensure clean water for thousands of families for generations. At the dedication ceremony, I break down crying. This is what Elena wanted: lasting impact, community benefit, protected resources. Her 25-foot flagpole sparked a chain of events that changed an entire community. 2 years after that first complaint letter from Antonio Valdez, I'm 73 years old and standing in the memorial garden on a crisp autumn morning. Sophia is with me, along with her fiancé Diego and my 3 grandchildren. We're planting a tree, a white oak native to Virginia, in Elena's honor. As I dig the hole, my grandchildren help, asking questions about their grandmother. I tell them, "Your grandma Elena was smart, strategic, and she cared about the future. When she got sick, instead of giving up, she spent her final months protecting this land for you. She knew developers would come. She knew people would get greedy. So she placed those flagpoles not just as memorials, but as markers, legal proof of boundaries, rights, and protection." My oldest grandson, age 10, asks, "Grandpa, why did the bad man want to take your flag down?" I think about how to explain it simply. Because the flag reminded him that some things can't be bought, developed, or sold. It reminded him that principles matter more than profit. We plant the tree together, and I read a final letter Elena left that I only recently found in her Navy footlocker. This one was labeled "For When the Battle is Won." It reads, "My darling William, if you're reading this, you won. I knew you would. You're stubborn, principled, and you don't quit." The flags still fly, don't they? The land is protected. Our family is safe. And the water flows clean for those who come after us. This was never about flags or property lines. It was about making sure that when we're gone, we leave something that matters. I fold the letter and look up at the twin flags snapping against a brilliant blue sky. My neighbor complained my flag was too big. So I bought his mother's house and put up a bigger one. But what I actually did was discover my late wife's final mission: protect a community's water, expose a corrupt developer, heal my fractured family, and create a legacy that will outlive us all. Sometimes the smallest acts of defiance lead to the greatest victories. The flags fly high. The water flows clean. The family is whole. Elena would be proud. And I'm finally at peace.